All right, welcome to Co-Creative No Code's office hours today. Welcome to a new week, everyone. I'm Tonya, and I have here Kim. My Kim,
Hey,
say hello. And we're going to get
hi.
started here. We're waiting for a couple members to join us this morning. If this is your first time joining us at Co-Creative No Code's office hours, which we broadcast live on Facebook, and we're also recording to maybe go on YouTube, hopefully, if it records all in one. We actually do office hours every day of the week, Monday through Friday, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You are welcome to drop a comment in the live at any point and ask us any of your questions related to Bubble. You can bring us Bubble bugs that you're having. You can bring us any feature requests in Bubble that you have. Any Bubble topic is open for discussion here. And if you would like to join us on the Zoom to actually participate in office hours from the Zoom, you can drop a comment in the live and Kim will send you a link to a complimentary Zoom session with us. We offer a complimentary session to all members of Co-Creative No Code's Facebook group. Welcome Thomas and Jay who just joined us. Hello, everybody. How was your weekend?
Worse.
Yeah, my weekend was hot, but okay. I've taken to taking wet t-shirts and freezing them in the freezer and then wearing them around my neck. Yeah, so
That's that no AC life right there.
it's the no AC life, exactly. So tomorrow that life should end for a while. We are getting a new AC unit tomorrow morning, hopefully. So how was your weekend, Thomas?
It was nice, mostly bubbling. So
Oh, good.
I didn't realize how complicated interacting with reusable elements would be, like interacting between page and reusable.
Yep.
So there was a lot of struggle with that. A lot of just trying to work around things, using custom states and triggering custom workflows, actually, which was pretty interesting.
Got it. But you made progress. You're not stuck?
I made progress. I am stuck.
Oh, you are stuck. Okay.
Do you mind if I show you what I'm dealing with?
I don't mind at all. I'm just going to take a quick minute. I'm considering going to this thing next week. I just learned about it. It's No Code Summit 2 being put on by Builder, Entree, and No Code No Problem, August 5th through 6th in Austin, Texas. I just learned about it like right before office hours started, and Eli's going. So I'm going to try to make my way over to Austin, Texas. I've always wanted to go to Austin, Texas. I've never actually been there. So yeah, so I'll see what I can do. So maybe we'll have office hours like live from the No Code Summit next week. That would be cool. Anyway, let me stop sharing so you can share.
Alrighty.
Also, it looks like Eli will be joining us on August 13th as our special guest on office hours. So Friday the 13th, which is awesome.
Nice. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. What am I doing? I've forgotten how to use my computer. 1 second.
It happens to the best of us, Thomas. And Jay, I think you told me how your weekend was, and then you asked me how mine was, but I didn't hear your answer. You were like cut off.
Talk about that. No.
No, you didn't tell me how your weekend was. Okay.
No, I started working on redoing my database as we discussed.
Okay.
And I'm super glad because looking at it now, it's making a lot more sense to me. And I have to go through and of course redo a ton of stuff, but redoing it is a lot more streamlined than it was the way it was.
Okay.
So I'm pleased with that.
Good.
That's awesome.
Good. Can't wait to see the difference.
Well, not much to look at, but
I know, but or hear about the difference because you'll know all of the intricacies about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. What am I looking at, Thomas?
Okay, so I'm just gonna show you what I'm dealing with. So my goal is to, because one of the pages is on the reusable element. So this is the reusable element where I'm actually creating a job post.
Okay.
So when I create a job post, I manage to I'm just going to save this now. Very snappy. But I want to show you what I'm doing. So my goal, so I'm using custom states here, and I'm just saving everything in the particular, thing, and then actually on the input by calling upon it. I'm trying to remember. I'm setting the state through a workflow.
Mhm.
Anyways, I'm saving the information here, but what I'm not able to do is save the current user's company.
Okay.
And that's, so essentially I'm trying to pass the company. I am passing the user, but for whatever reason, it's not passing the company. I know that was a little messy of an explanation there.
Okay. Well, let's start over. So show me on the page what's happening.
On the page, I have set on the reusable itself a few different custom states. And the point of these are to save it on the actual inputs, which then save it onto the database.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm setting the state on the inputs.
No, like preview it. Is it previewable yet?
Yes, it is previewable. I'm just going to do this for now so you see that things actually do save.
So okay.
It's saving all the inputs but the company, which would display it like here.
All right. And how does the reusable know the company?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay. So on the page, go to the page itself. So how does the page know the company?
I will show you. Actually, that's a big proponent today. So since I have to interact with your reusable and save it, I'm saving it through this publish button, calling upon the custom states. And then I am saving it here. As you can see, I am saving it to the underlined words here are the actual custom states. So that's how I'm saving it. As you can see, I'm attaching it to current user and then company, current pages, jobs.
So
posts.
the company, so the current page job post company is not getting saved. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah,
okay. So but you do have a company there, or do you?
Right here.
So why don't you on the design tab, just put a text, like a text element right next to it, and just show what the current page company is like. Right
next to, I tried that on the, so within or outside of the reusable?
Outside of the reusable, because you're referring to the current page's jobs company or job post company. Yeah, there you go. And now preview it and see if that's showing up, because if the page doesn't have one, then what you're saving won't have one.
Yeah, I was thinking that I did this thing on the reusable itself. Yeah, so it's not showing anything.
Yeah, so that's the first step.
That's a big thing. Yeah.
Is making sure that when you're testing things, if a page has a data type, then you have to send data to that page when you preview it in order for things to work correctly. So you probably need to go to that page from something else, or select something that's on the page that will set the current page's content.
So this is a single page.
Okay.
And when I'm clicking post button, it's just hiding and showing this.
Right, but it's a single page. But if you go into the page element itself, so click out of everything to the page element, so the index element, and double click.
Right, is that what you meant?
Yep, no, like outside of the margins, if you double click outside of the margins of everything, like on that space where it's page, but it's not, yeah, right there. So here you have the type of content job post. but when you're clicking preview from here, you're not setting the job post of the index. So the index page doesn't know which job post you're referring to.
So I'm not specifying specifically which job post it is.
Right. So you have to tell the page, the index page, which job post it's supposed to be there. And then it will probably work the way that you have it. There's some other optimizations, like areas for optimizations that I see, but that's the main problem here is Bubble doesn't know when you're previewing. So normally when you have a page that has a type of content, you don't go to it from clicking the preview. You preview a different page and select something, and then it opens up the new page with that content, and it sends the content into the page. Right. So this is where you know how when you navigate to another page using workflows,
Yeah.
and it says set which data do you want to send?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would be required to send data to this page because it has a type of content.
Okay, so bit confused. What I hear though is data has to be sent from a page. So I have to.
Or you can have, yeah, like hang on a second. I'll share my screen so I can show you what I mean. I think it'll be easier to understand. Okay, so from here, we'll go to July sandbox. We only have a few more days left in this sandbox. Okay, so page content preview. And then here is new page content. So on this page, I want to show content. What type of content do I want it to be? Let's go check out my types. Page contents, entry. So I have this thing now called page contents, page 1 and page 2. And if I go to my design here and I set the type of content to page contents here to page content. Now, when I do this, I want to make this current page contents name. So there's this big thing here. I want to let's make it huge. 44, not white, primary. Yeah, we'll go with primary. Okay. So when I preview it, it's just going to show me lorem ipsum because it doesn't have an actual page content assigned, right? So then I go here to the page content preview and I make a button. Go to page 1 and I'm going to set here to navigate to page content, and the data is required because I have that data. I have a data type set on the page, so it's going to require the data that I need to send to it. And so what I'll do is a search for page content where the name equals page 1. First item. All right. So now it's going to send this page content. It's going to search for a page content matching these constraints. And then I'm taking that first item and I'm sending it to that page. So now when I preview this page and I click here, it sends me to page content and it tells me I'm on page 1.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you do not have to go from another page to the page to set the page content though. So what we could do is we could on the page itself, on page content, we could have, we could do a little repeating group here. And then what we'll do is this will be where is page content? Page content, do a search for page content. And then we'll have text here. And this will be current cells, page content name. And we'll start the edit workflow. We'll navigate to the same page, which is page content, and we'll send current cells page content, right? So this, in this way, when I get to the page, it's not set, it's lorem ipsum, but if I click page 1, it goes to page 1. If I click page 2, it loads page 2, right? And now whenever I do the workflows that you've done where I'm referring to current pages, page content, whatever like your type is, it will know it's page 2 that I'm referring to.
Okay, I got you. So for the most part, it's that the page is not being set because it's just loading on a blank empty slate.
Exactly. That's why it's not. That's why it's currently not saving.
So in this particular case, in my case, usually, since I'm just kind of experimenting with single page applications. The content would be ideally set through the login page, right?
Okay.
Was that how it would work, or would I have to have a page where once the user lands, they have to interact with it so the page sets? For example, what you did with the repeating group.
So on a one-page app, I wouldn't set a type of content on the page.
I see so don't set as I did on the index.
Right. So I wouldn't refer to the current pages anything. I wouldn't set the page content type at all. I would set like that reusable, maybe that reusable has a content type and you tell it which job post it belongs to through other interactions on the page. Because all this is doing is saying is putting the unique ID of this page content in the URL. Right. But you can do this through URL parameters on your own. Or you set it as a state on the reusable or on the page itself. You have a lot of different options for how you want to do that. So let's go back. Let's look back at yours again.
Do you want to see that section of the pages that we want to see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the things is, so this is currently the only thing that you have on your page, right?
As in there's a few things actually. There's 6 pages on it.
Oh, there's 6 different things on it. Okay,
all,
cool.
And hidden, yeah.
Okay, and then can you kind of, how are you navigating between those yet, or are you?
How am I navigating between them? I'm just really hiding and showing different groups
based on interactions. Okay, yeah, and that's fine.
In this particular case, I'm hiding and then showing create a job post, which would be this. It would just hide and then show that.
Okay.
Hide this and then show this.
All right, and this is for somebody who would be creating the job post. So for your
A
Okay.
particular user that signed in who wants to create a job post.
Okay.
And then when you publish, create a new job post, saving onto the custom states, and then I'm hiding and then showing group, essentially just going
So-
right back.
So yeah, so instead of referring to the current page's job post, you could like company, you could do the current user's company, right? Because they're creating the job post.
As in like where I'm storing it, saving it.
Yeah, so in the workflow where you're saving company, instead of current page job post company, you could do current users company.
That's what I thought it would be. So in the user, do I have to make a cross-reference by adding a company of type company?
Yeah, so how are you setting it up? So you're doing it through the user profile?
Ideally, I'm still trying to figure out how this works, to be
Okay,
honest.
no worries.
And
It's
there was a
fine.
lot of confusion in the connections.
Sure. And then does the user have a reference to the user profile?
It does not. So
Okay,
that's
that's fine. It's not a
fine.
big deal. You could add it there if you want to. So you could have the current user's user profile would be fine.
Gotcha. So make a reference in here. Your
Mhm.
user profile, type user profile. I thought it would be that I'm just missing a connection. So ideally, when you're making a connection between data types, you want it to go both ways, right?
Sometimes, not always, but yeah, but a lot of the time, yes. So
Okay.
yeah, just because it's easier to refer to the current user's user profiles company than it is to say do a search for companies where like that way, or do a search for user profiles where the owner is the current user and then find the company. It's just
Right.
much easier to say current users user profiles company.
So would I have to add a company of type company here too?
Nope, because you can refer to it because the
Right.
user profile already has the company on it.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then in terms of privacy rules, the current user should be able to see their own current user stuff, right? So like if the current user is the current, like, is this user, right? So for the user, if current user is this user, then they can see and interact with everything.
Or is it the other way around? Yeah, everybody else wouldn't be able to see anything.
Current user is logged in and
It's an and operation. This user.
this user is current user.
Okay.
There you go.
Cool.
Yep.
And then, yeah, you told me last time, obviously, don't make anything available here in the user, but in the user.
Yep. And then today we're going to start talking about admin access, right?
Sweet. Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, so just a couple things to think about. Go to your reusable element on the page.
On the page.
So the data source is the parent group's job post. So
Yeah.
you're creating a job post here, right? That's the point of the form, is to create one, or is
Yeah.
it to edit?
No, the point is to create it.
The point is to create it. Okay. So for this one, you're sending in a data source into the reusable element. And that might work if you also want to edit using the same reusable, which is how I would do it. That's what I would recommend. So I'm not going to tell you to change this because eventually you're going to want people to be able to edit their job post, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you just keep it in one place.
Right. So so that's fine. So the parent group's job post. So when you tell that parent group which job post you might want to edit, it's going to send information into the reusable, and then you'll be able to refer to that already existing job post in the form for editing.
So is this correct in this
Yep.
particular?
That's correct.
Okay, I was a little confused with the having to set a data source.
Uh-huh. Yep,
Also,
it is. It is confusing.
very
Yep,
confusing.
it is. And then there's this other part of it where it's fine to have the publish button outside of the reusable, but you could also have it within the reusable as well.
So I was having a problem with that because I was trying to communicate with a page where it hid this and showed another thing. And I couldn't figure out how to, because that's how I started, publish within the reusable and interact with hiding and then showing this, which is on the page and is not at all connected to this reusable. Does that make sense?
So when you click the publish button, you wanted to hide this section and show a different section?
Yeah, I want, like, the goal is to stay on the same page, and it was just hard for me to communicate with the page from the reusable.
Okay. Yeah, it can be tricky because you have URL parameters and custom states is pretty much how that's done, right?
Yeah, I managed to save data through triggering a custom workflow, which was interesting because I didn't know that you can interact. You can interact with an element. You can trigger a workflow within a reusable element
From the page.
Yeah, from the
Yeah,
page.
which is very cool. I agree. It's one of the most powerful concepts of Bubble, I think, and it's often overlooked. But yeah, so you can do that. And then if you have it working, I just wanted you to know that you like, sometimes we have buttons outside of a reusable and then we trigger the workflows in the reusable from the page. Other times the button is part of the form that's in the reusable itself.
Right. Does it make sense how I went about it though, by keeping the publish button outside the reusable?
So in this case, I don't see a reason to do it one way or the other. So it's fine that you did it that way. I don't have a problem with it. I just wanted you to know you could set the same state, whatever it is, either the URL parameter that you're using to hide this group and show the next group, or if you're doing it with a custom state, you could do the same thing with the button that's inside the reusable as well.
Okay, yeah, I didn't quite figure out how to do that, but it sounds like URL parameters are the way.
URL parameters is definitely the way I would probably go with it. I like URL parameters for changing what's showing up on the page because they are they're immune to page reloads, so refreshing the page, as opposed to custom states reset when you refresh the page. And so a user could end up sort of orphaned using custom states.
So does it not make sense? So in my case, my custom states would completely erase if, say, they reloaded the page.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, which brings another question about hidden variables. I heard it's a very useful way of just pulling information between different things like reusables and pure page. But
but hidden variables have the same issue. And
really, okay.
I think that URL parameters are more robust that way. They're also very nice to help users if they want to bookmark something and come back to it on a one page app especially. It's like really important that they're able to bookmark, including the URL parameters, to go back to something. So if you were to create like a report based on URL parameters and someone wanted to look at that report every day, they could bookmark it with the URL parameters instead of having to go into the app and make all of the selections to find that, to like recreate the report they're looking for.
So it sounds like in general, it would probably be a good idea to try to do this through URL parameters, this whole operation here.
Yep.
Cool. I'm going to take a look at that.
I mean, that doesn't mean there's not a place for custom states. It's just in terms of navigating which group to show, which group to hide, and users being able to find their way around and being able to refresh without losing all kinds of information about where they were, URL parameters are stronger
Okay.
that way.
Gotcha. So one last question. Do you suggest?
I hope not. I hope you have more questions.
No, yeah, I have many more questions actually, but we don't take up all the
Yeah, I'm
time.
just teasing.
So I have a few pages on here. Are there any limitations to URL parameters where it's not suggested to use them in a single page? That's kind of just really my question. I guess it varies. Pulling specific information, it sounds like, is
I mean, I think there's like some sort of limitation on the number of characters that you can go with URL parameters. So, but outside of that, I don't have any. URL parameters are
the way.
pretty robust.
Sweet. I appreciate the clarification,
Yeah, of course.
but
Awesome. Jay, did you have anything for today? Oh, you're on mute if you're trying to talk. I don't know. Oh, maybe Jay stepped away.
you said there was a. I was curious about hidden variables.
Yeah.
I've heard good things and bad things, but I'm just being a newbie still.
You've heard good things and bad things about hidden variables. Okay. Like what have you heard?
So you said there are limitations to it in regards to storing data.
Mhm.
What do you mean by that exactly? Just
So using a hidden variable is very much like using a custom state. I like them. I think there are advantages to using hidden variables. Specifically, you can, if you're hiding them like in one spot, like a pop-up called hidden variables, you can see all of the hidden variables that you're working with on the page. There are also reasons to use hidden variables on the page as well. I see that done a lot. And the reason they work like custom states is because any group that you have can have a type of content and you can set that data source, right? And so in the same way that you go to your workflows and you can, on page load, you can set a state here. This is just saying, okay, there's every element has states, right? So the admin has states. You can add a custom state here, right? You can say, this is my custom state. You can specify the type of content that the state is expecting. So you can say, oh, I want it to like be set to a page content, right? You could even make it lists, right? So in that same way, you can do that same sort of thing. You can create a group and name the group and say what that group's content is going to be. And if you want it to be a list, you would use a repeating group instead, right? And then both groups and repeating groups have data sources, right? And so here I can say, okay, this is my custom state. Its state type of content is page content, and it's going to be a list, and I'm going to create that. And now when I want to, so the main difference is if I was doing this with a group here in the hidden variables, so I'd maybe come here and go copy paste, move this down here and say var, this is my state. And then I should have done it from here. This is my state. And then here, I can make the type of content the same, page content. And so the biggest difference here is that in my workflow, it's called a value. I'm setting the value. And in my group, I'm setting a data source, or in my repeating group, like these are repeating groups that are used, I'm setting my data source rather than setting a value. So that's the biggest difference. And then the other biggest difference is here, I can see what I'm doing. Like it's, to me, this is an easier presentation and it's easier to find things than here. If I go to the admin and I click on info, then my custom states are here. But here's the rub, is every element on your page. So how many elements do I have on this page? I have sometimes hundreds of elements, thousands of elements, and any one of these elements can have a custom state on it, right? So for me, it makes a lot more sense to have my custom states in a place where I can find them and I easily find them, and to use the naming convention of var, because anytime I want to find a variable, I type var and it shows up here, right? So the naming convention plus having it in one place makes it a lot easier to work with than say, and to document than to say, oh, I'm just going to pop a custom state here that nobody knows exists. You can find custom states in your apps if you're ever struggling to try to remember what you did or where you did it. You can search for, let's see, how would I do it? Action type, and then set state of an element and say, I can look for all of the times I'm setting states on this one page. And this is the admin portal of Canvas, which is a huge, huge page in Canvas. And it only sets states 4 times. So you can kind of see like Canvas doesn't really do a lot of state setting. In fact, one of these is probably the one I did, right? Because I can.
So do they not do it because it just lacks that like permanent storage of data?
No, because you have the same problem. If I refresh the page here, it will look to the URL tabs, and on page load, it will set some of my hidden variables, but others will just clear out.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, so it's just unreliable in this particular case. So I imagine Canvas is very heavy URL parameters then.
Yes, we use URL parameters a great deal in Canvas.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
That's cool. I haven't touched URL parameters yet, so definitely some learning.
URL parameters are fun. They're very easy to work with. You can just go here, you navigate, you go to the same page that you're already on, so admin. And then if you had to send data, you could send it. You don't, in this case, in this page. You can send the current page parameters so you don't lose anything. And then you can send more parameters to the page by clicking this. And then all you have to do to add a URL parameter, it's just a key value pair. So you go, the key might be, tab is one that we use a lot here. So we can go tab, and then you can select which tab you want. And tab is a text. So you could just enter text here, or you can insert dynamically which text you want, right? And that's all it is. That's the extent of what URL parameters do. But what the power is then any of my elements I can show conditionally based on the URL parameters. So like for this pop-up, I can say when, so probably not with a pop-up. I think I'd have to use an action to do this. Yeah, because visible isn't one of my options here. But I could change the data source, right? So when I get, data from page URL and the tab is hidden variables like this, then I can do the data source is do a search for page content and then first item. first item's name. And then here I would have to set this to be text. Right, so it doesn't have a data source on default. And then when the get tab from page URL is hidden variables, search for contents first item's name. Right now, I have that set just for ease on page load where I'm setting that. So go to page admin and then here, what you'll see is I can put a button here. Clear data. So add action, navigate, go to page, admin. I want to send current parameters, send more parameters to the page, and here, tab, it should say hidden, and make it empty. And then page is loaded. I'm going to say hidden here. And then go back here, make this get hidden instead of tab, because I don't want to break the whole page. And then even here, the conditional, the appearance would be when pop up hidden variables to, or I guess get hidden, not hidden variables. Text. All right, so now if I preview my admin page, I also need to tell it to show. Oh, got it. So hidden variables. And then right now I can clear it. So when I click here, this is going to disappear. It didn't work. It hates me. Let's see, what did I do wrong? Go to page admin. I'm sending the current parameters to the page. Send more parameters to the page. Hidden, let's just change this to hidden. Ah, it's getting caught up on this part. This wasn't a big ask, Bubble. Oh, it's because it's reloading the page, it's automatically setting. That's why. So, but are you getting the point?
Kind of, but it
Kind of,
sounds
sort of.
yeah. So in this particular case, it sounds like in order to trigger a URL parameter set would be to actually have a go-to page. So
Yeah,
essentially,
when you're interacting with URL params, what you're doing is you're going to a page and you're setting the parameters. So the problem is I have right now, everything is set on the page load. So if I went here instead and just put a button at the bottom here. Like this. And then I copy, or sorry, cut this and okay. So now instead of doing it on page load, I'm going to do it on this button click. So I don't undo it because every time you go to a page, technically it's reloading. So on page load, it was automatically resetting my stuff. So if I do hidden variables here and then watch this.
did
I
it
don't know why it's doing that. Not now. It didn't. It did something else. I'm not sure what it did. It wasn't me though. Let's do this. Hidden variables.
Yeah, I saw it
And
disappear. Well,
oh, it cleared everything because I didn't make it persistent. So here. Variables. Clear. Now it's switched. Yeah.
so it seems like what you just did there is a way of it's just clearing, right? But you can't set it that way, right? Without a page refresh.
You can, because I can just clear this altogether. So I
Yeah.
can make it empty. Or if I just wanted to really make it empty, it just send current page parameters. No, I'd have to do this to make it empty because I'm sending the current page parameters to the page. So let's see. But the thing is you can run things like you can run different things based on a value being empty. So here it should just clear it out. Yeah, hidden is empty. So what was your question?
I'm trying to understand how URL parameters would play into a single page application.
Okay.
Because I imagine being URL parameters, there would be a lot of page refreshes.
Yep. But it's not full refreshes, right? So like when I click on branding here, watch what happens to my so it goes to tab branding.
So it's still pretty snappy.
Yeah, it's going to the page, but it's not reloading the page.
Okay.
Right. So, and then the same with pages with the header and footer, all of this is happening
Through
with URL parameters, right? It's showing things and hiding things based on URL parameters. Now, within this, it might show something like based on this is just showing a pop-up, right? If I go in the same here, these are all just showing different pop-ups, right? But I might do something with custom states within there, or I might do subtabs. So in this case, I don't think I have any subtabs. But in a lot of places I would, like I might have users and then I might have subtabs of different kinds of users that I would click on and it would automatically filter. And that would be a tab equals, and then it would have an ampersand, and then it would say subtab. So, I mean, you can get very, very intricate with what you're showing on the page and hiding on the page based on URL parameters. And you can even filter, like we use a lot of times the filtering of a repeating group would be based on what's in the URL parameters as opposed to custom states. I like custom states for that. A lot of times I'll do my filtering using custom states, but a lot of times I'll do it using URL parameters too.
Yeah.
So
Hey. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
You're still setting those URL parameters here, because I was watching you click around there and it was setting without doing a page refresh. You're still doing a go-to page.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you're just setting it to the same page.
Yep, same page. And Bubble realizes unless I click this button here where it says to replace the entry in the browser history, but even then I'm not sure if it like does a full reload. Like here data. No, yeah, it's not. Yeah. So, yep. So Bubble doesn't want to cause a whole page refresh unless you tell it to. And you can tell it to, because you could say navigate, refresh the page if you wanted to refresh the page.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. So I know it's complicated. It's a lot easier, I think, to learn when you have something specific that you want to do when you bring it. So like not saving the company on the job post. I think when you go back and you look at it, and like we could do that now if you wanted. I think it sticks a lot better that way.
Do you wanna, because it's 1:56, and you wanted to.
Sure. I wanted to check in with Jay. I think Jay is back.
Hi.
Hey, did you have something for today?
I don't have anything special today.
No? Okay, cool. So we have a few minutes and then we'll start on the admin portal stuff.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Did you want to go to your company stuff?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Where do I begin?
Okay, so just go to the initial form with the reusable element there. Mhm. Okay, and so now go to the workflow on the publish button.
I don't have my mouse. Let me go grab that. I will show you this while I do that. Bubble, why won't you load? Every once in a while, the workflows literally don't do anything, so I have to refresh the page.
Yep, I have experienced the same problem more frequently lately than I was experiencing it.
It's been happening a lot for me these days.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm still on the free plan. Okay, that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to.
Okay, so for company, we'll go current users, user profile, company. There you go. And then the same for client, you would go.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Create users, user profile. Okay. I can get rid of these.
I don't think so. I think those are fine, right?
Yeah, these are.
Because those are all working.
Yeah, they're all working perfectly. Yep.
Yeah, then no need to change them.
Cool.
Perfect. And then now what you need to do is you need to go back, because it won't work until you actually assign user profiles to your users. So I would just like, I often have like a sandbox page, and I'll just put a button with a workflow to go back and make things right in my database for my sample data. So what I would do is like go to your data tab and your app data and your users. How many users do you have? And then how many user profiles do you have? You just have the one? Okay. Yeah, so then I would probably just go to the user related to that user profile and just add that user profile to the user profile field in your app data.
You mean to like the actual
Go to your users and whichever, yeah, so that one, I would open it up and save that user profile in there. So in user profile,
it is.
if it's not doing that, then you can change the search field.
Primary.
Yep, that's one way of doing it as well.
Owner, I guess.
I might do name if it has, or
Fun.
sorry. Yeah, owner should be fine then. We'll see if that'll work. Sometimes Bubble's a little tricky to get that working. Actually, in users, you need to go. And then the run as the Sky Pro.
Yes.
Ugh.
Sometimes
really,
it just auto populates. I just have to remember the.
Yeah, so you probably just want to grab the unique ID and change it back to like unique ID and just copy and paste it. Because what Bubble doesn't like is it doesn't like to have to go in and search for another field of the thing that you're referencing. So instead of using the user unique ID, like it's just tricky. I don't know why they're like that. Yeah, so if you copy that unique ID,
Bubble has feelings.
And then go back to primary fields.
In here? I think I already said this. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. No, Bubble does not have feelings, but
I don't know about that.
I promise you the Bubble does not have feelings. I'm sure the people who design Bubble and develop Bubble have feelings. And I've probably insulted and hurt those feelings many times over the course of cursing at my computer and yeah.
Oh my God.
And bad mouthing them in office hours. I'm sorry, Bubble. I actually love you.
Love-hate relationship.
Yeah. Okay. And then you can save. I think that will save it. Yeah. Okay. So now you should be good for those references. Oh, somebody has a Bubble question. They're calling me by phone. Okay, let's try this on office hours. We're starting our new dial-in. Hey, you're live on office hours.
Okay, good. I have an office hour Bubble question.
Okay, what's up?
Hey, so the integration between Keep and Bubble.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, right?
I mean, you just use the API connector.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she needs to just make sure it's in the when they build it on their end, that API is in Bubble already. Like she'll need to add it, right?
Right. So Bubble's API connector can make REST API calls to Keep's REST API.
Got it. And then I can pretty much everything in there. Do they have any restrictions on the Bubble side of what data I can pull in?
No.
What? Okay, cool. All right. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's still foreign talk to me, but soon enough it won't be.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let's build some admin portal stuff. I think that was what we were going to do today.
It's still not saving, but I'm going to tinker around with it and see what I can figure out.
Oh, do you want to show what's happening?
I'll just mess around with it. I think I have a pretty good idea now that I've made the cross references.
All right,
I can
we
figure
can
out
work on
myself.
it tomorrow if you need.
No biggie.
All right, so admin portals. Admin portals are awesome. It means instead of going and using your CRUD capabilities in the back end of Bubble to make things happen, you can actually create interfaces just like you would for your regular non-admin users to interact with the database, to create new things in the database, to change things in the database, and sometimes to delete things in the database. Although I have to recommend that you're super careful with deleting things in any database. It's better to archive information than to delete it, with the exception of maybe GDPR, where you're like required to delete certain things. Let's see here. Kim, can you check his member status? Did we already have him or no? I can't remember. I don't think we did. Okay, yeah, he can come on. That's fine. All right. So what we have here is a look at a very advanced admin portal. This is the Canvas admin portal. It comes standard with Canvas, although this is outdated because I opened up this Canvas version at the beginning of July. They have a new version out, which is cool. So what we've got is a lot of things here that you can see, like all of my branding decisions, anything that I need to reference over and over throughout the app for branding styles, are actually stored on a separate data type and thing in the
So
database.
when you store everything on a data type, I tried it, but the problem was that when I needed to refer to it, like a certain color or a hexadecimal or an image, I didn't know, I'd have to go look in the database
Yep.
to see what it was called. How do you get over that?
Oh,
Was my question clear?
like you mean you had to do the search for and find the first item and refer to that field?
And I had to remember what it was. So like,
Oh
for
yeah, you're
instance,
not going to
I
get
had-
around that part.
Oh,
You have to remember what it's called.
I ended up having to do option sets where it's more obvious what it's called. Like, for instance, I had different color, like I had a different logo at first and it was in different colors to show what it would look like on different backgrounds. You know what I mean? Black background, light. So I had 3 of them or 2 of them, whatever, but I couldn't remember whether, what they were called. So I'd have to keep checking the database. With the option set, I know, I have an option set type called logos, and then I can see that there's magenta, green, and white. Just saying.
What's the options? Oh, okay. So, but I mean, part of that is this interface, right? So like for
Yes.
branding, I don't just save it here and have to go keep referencing it. I actually have an interface with all of my branding stuff. So if I want to change my portal style on here, all of these things are saved as hexadecimal codes in text fields on this data type here. Yep. But I now have the interface to see, I can play around and see what that will look like and test what it will look like. And that's the power of the admin portal, as opposed to just having the thing in the database that you set things. Yeah. So the interface here, like I can change, I can say I want this to be purple instead. And I can change it to be actually to be a gradient. And I can say, I want to like that. And then I save the changes and immediately I can see the difference here because this is already referring to my database to get its coloring. So yeah, and like I said, this is a super advanced admin portal as opposed to the more basic admin portal, which would be this part here is just determining which app data you would like to interact with in your portal. So this is design related and it has some to do with like emails and settings and different pages and stuff. But this is where we usually focus when we're building out an admin portal for our clients is we say, okay, which data types do they need to be able to create, edit, and delete from and see the information. So the analytics is sort of a dashboard, right? It's doing a lot of calculating, counting things, and telling you how things are going. I don't usually mess with this at all when I'm building. It's more the users. So this is very basic. Name, email, tells you when they were last active, and it tells you which role they're in. This is just a repeating group. Pretty easy. And then you can search for active or inactive. So I can look for all of my active versus all of my inactive or all of my users. And then I can filter by name, or I can filter by role. And then this will download a CSV of all of this information. And then I can create a new app admin here with a pop-up. And so this comes standard with Canvas, but a lot of times we edit this based on what our clients need. So let's just do one of our own here. What we'll do is we'll create admin portal from scratch. Kim, I haven't seen him pop up yet, just so you know.
Yeah, I asked him to check his messenger requests, but I don't think he can see it.
Okay.
I also messaged him last June 15 and he hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Got it. So Lewis, if you come back and you're watching, I guess he's not watching right now. So maybe that's okay. All right. So here, let's create an admin portal from scratch. We'll have users. What other data types might we want to do? Maybe page content?
Yeah, just keep it pretty simple. We can build upon it. Yeah.
All right. So let's just have 2 buttons here. We'll call this one users. And this one page content. All right. And then we'll go with a repeating group. This will be of type user. Data source would be do a search for all users. And then we want to do here. Actually, I'll create a group first. And this is going to be my labels group. And I'm not entirely sure why they don't do this in Canvas. It's not what they do, but when I'm building on my own, I tend to like to put my labels in the repeating group itself. And then what I do is I don't show that group on page load, and instead I hide it. And then I show it when current cells index is 1.
So first item.
Is the first item, then I'll show like the labels. Other times you can do it as like a floating group right above it, and then you can lock in the width or whatever, so it doesn't get wonky when you resize the page. And then you can have it so like you can freeze it so it stays on the page if you're scrolling down, things like that. So anyway, let's do within here, we want to put the current user's name. Yeah, that's inside. email. Users first, last. And then there we go. Users email. And then when I preview this, admin user. So it's not showing my here. Oh, it said this element is visible. Check. So name and email, and then I have admin user and so forth.
Tonya.
Yes. Oh,
check
he's
your
here.
waiting room.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
Let's see. Hi, Lewis.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Doing well, thanks. We're just
Excellent.
building an admin portal right now.
Okay, cool.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your bubble experience.
All right, so bubble experience, that would be an overstatement, I suppose. I'm just still trying to learn it, to understand how to use it. I've been playing around with it, working on my first app with it, and it's been good so far. A bit of a learning curve, but I got a template of some guy, and I'm using that template to sort of guide me.
Got it. Which
Yeah.
template are you using?
So it was it wasn't a template per se. What I meant was it was a step-by-step video. It was this guy called Lachlan, I think is his name.
Lachlan?
Yes, correct.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So he created one video which showed you the step-by-step. So I used that as a template guide to build effectively what I was trying to build. Because what I'm trying to build is an app that has very close similarities to Cameo. So he had a video with exact Cameo step-by-step guide. So I used that to start with. But I'm a bit stuck now because I've been able to build the, I've gotten to where that video has stopped, and I'm not able to connect the back end and everything hanging at the back. So, but I don't want to derail your build, so that's fine.
Oh, okay. No worries. Yeah, do you have a specific question? You could come on another office hours. We're in our build along section right now, but you could bring it a specific question to another office hours if you'd like.
Yeah, so I'm pulling together a number of questions, which I would hopefully bring into your next. I don't know, how often do we have this office hours?
Every day of the week.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So there'll be one tomorrow then.
Yep. Tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay. Do I need to use that link to post my questions ahead of the office hour?
It wouldn't hurt if you did. We'd
Okay.
appreciate it if you did.
Cool.
But you don't, you don't, it's not required. So.
Okay.
Let's see here, where was I? In my pop-up.
So if I had a specific question that I posted ahead, would you then deal with that specific question on the office hours? Like show me how to do it?
Yep, absolutely. If I can. I can't promise that I'll know how to do everything, but I promise you won't suffer alone.
I've clearly suffered, so there's plenty of suffering to go around.
And then let's see here. Yes, we all suffer. I think that's pretty clear. We're a very patient group.
Is there like so apart from is there a way for me to search for a specific question that I had, perhaps that you had dealt with in a previous session, so I don't repeat the question.
Yes, we're working on it. It's we're not completely done with this page, but you can see previous questions by going to cocreativenoCode.com/request. And
Okay.
you can see if something close to yours has been
Has been
asked
answered.
before.
Okay.
Once you sign up, you can add your own questions here, and you can also upvote questions that you like and would like to see. What I'm planning to do with this page is tab it. And so we'll have unanswered and answered. And that way you can see which ones have been answered and you can go in. And then there's going to be conversation here as well. So still working on this page, but you're welcome to post it. And then if I need to add, I used to have it so I would get a notification when one of these was created. So I need to add that so that I can get the notification and go and check. I did check this page though before we started today to see if there was anything new. So
Okay.
yep. And then yep. And then if you're not able to make it onto the office hours where we do talk about it, Kim, part of Kim's responsibilities is to contact you and let you know that we addressed your question. So you can go back and watch the office hours recording.
Cool.
Yep.
So the canvas you were talking about, what's that exactly?
So Canvas is a template. It's kind of a fancy template in my opinion because it has this extension, Chrome extension. So you add the base template to a new app, and then you can customize it by adding different pages and blocks to it as you go, and really customize the template before you even start working on it, or adding to your template as you need to. So, and Canvas is created and maintained by and sold by airdev.co, and I work for airdev as a product manager right now. So
Okay.
I'm very familiar with using Canvas. We use it at airdev for all of our projects are built on Canvas.
Okay.
So okay, so what I've done is I've created this pop-up here, and the pop-up is pop-up user. I think that's good enough for now. And it's of type content user. And then what I have here is we'll say save changes here. And I'll start the workflow and make changes to a thing only when pop-up user is not empty. And first last equals input value. I'm going to go and change that input to first last. And then here, email. Cover photo first last, changing, and won't let me change the email through here. That's fine. So here, and then account. Change email. New email is input B's value. Only when user is not empty. So this means when I'm making edits versus when I'm creating a new user from the admin portal. And then the next thing would be to sign the user up. Password. So email would be input B's value, and so we'll go with create an account for someone else. So email is input B's value. And then first last equals first last value. Only when parent group's user is empty. So is not empty, is not empty. And then if it is empty, we're going to create a new user. Some other things we have to do because this is built on Canvas, but you don't have to worry about it. If you're not in Canvas, is we want to set inactive to no. Want sign up method to be email. Want date sign up completed to be current date and time. Trying to think. What's following this? Profile role equals standard. Actually, you should probably make that a drop down. Set user role. We'll get an option. So choices would be role. Play. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm making it so if I click on here, I click on this group. What I want to do is I want to display data. Display data in the pop-up user, current cells user. And then I want to show that pop-up. And then when I click to save here, set. And then close that pop-up. Okay, so now I have an interaction where I can make changes or I can create a new user. Okay, so I want to change this user's information. So I'll change this to car. So I changed this information here. And then if I go into the database and I look for, see how it changed here? And if I look in here, my role is now app admin. So that's working to change the data. And it's much easier than coming in here and saying, looking through all of these and trying to find what I want to change and making those changes and so forth. It's also protecting data that I don't want to have changed. Let's say I have Kim and I want Kim to be able to make changes, but I don't want her to make certain changes. Like I don't want her to change, the sign up step, for instance, that sort of thing. So now I can also create a new user. So here I should have it say first, last. So let's see here. Give me a name, any name.
Alex.
Alex Karev from Grey's Anatomy. Alex at diosa.com and set the user role to be standard. And I save these changes. And now I have Alex here, right? I can come in here and I can make changes if I need to, and so forth. So now let's have this, this button here and the repeating group itself. We want to group those in an element and call it group users. We don't want it on page load. We want to collapse it when it's hidden. And we want to have it shown when we get data from URL and the tab text is users. Then we want to show it. Okay. And then we'll take this group users.
So you're grabbing the tab of that page on that condition, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I don't think I want to copy the workflows, but I do want to copy this group here. Okay. All right. And so now this is going to be group, and instead of being users, we'll call it group page content. And okay. And then this will be search for page content. And this will be, this group will be page content. And pop user, we'll just take this and copy and paste. And this will become which one is which.
Which one is which?
It didn't give me a copy like it normally does. We'll do this.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. So we'll give this. Copy, paste. So this one should be the page content. And this will be page content, and this will be parent group's page contents name. We don't need these. Make changes to parent group's page content name equals Put page contents value. Only when the pop-up page content is not empty. Otherwise, we want to create a new thing and make a new page content. Only when it is empty. Right. And then reset. Inputs and hide content. And then here, for this one, we want this to be display data. Show. And then here, reset the pop-up page content and then show it. And now on page load, I need to tell it which tab to show. So when the page is loaded, I want to show users automatically. So go to page, admin portal. So here, and we'll say tab will equal users only when get tab is empty. That way it'll show me users by default. And then here, if I click this, I will also navigate to here.
So you're not displaying dynamic data. What are you doing there? Is it just a placeholder for text reference?
What do you mean? Oh, when I don't choose dynamic data here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could use dynamic data. I know we do that a lot in Canvas, is we wouldn't like hard code users here. We would say like probably what we would do is we would put this button in a group, right? So I'd group it in a group and I'd call it group button 1, and it would be type text, and then the text would be users, and that would be users. And then here the button would be parent groups text capitalized words, right? And then here this would be parent groups text.
But when you just did it prior to that, without doing that step, does Bubble know that you're referencing users?
No, no, it's not. So this is just the tab here. When I set the tab here, I'm referring to it as a text tab. So here in the group here where I'm referring to this get tab, I say the parameter is tab and the type of tab is text.
Okay.
So it's just it's just looking for text. It's a good question.
Gotcha.
So,
But you alternatively could have skipped all that just by adding users, right?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure I understand what your question is.
'Cause initially, before you did this whole step, you just had underscore users, not underscore users, just users as the value.
Yeah,
That could have worked as well, right?
that would have worked as well.
Okay, that's just an easier way of doing it.
Yeah, so the thing is that right now, if I want to change this back, I have to change it in like like here, I wouldn't even use users here. I would use group is group. What did I name that group?
Button 1.
This group here, the parent group of this button,
Oh, never mind.
group button 1. So here for this, I would say group button 1's text instead of users, hard coding at users, because now when I click here, it's the only place that I say users for the whole interaction is in this group name. So in this group's name here, right? So if I want to change it to say app users instead, and say app users, and now everything is referring to app users. So the one place I didn't change that would be here. So I'd say group button 1's text. So now if I go to preview, it says app users instead, and it loaded on app users and it's showing this. And if I click, if I take this off, then this doesn't, it reloaded it because it was empty, right? But if I change this to text, then it's not going to show anything. And then when I click here, it switches it to app users. But the only place where it says app users is in this text on this group here. And that's the way that Canvas does it. So you only have to go and change it in one place. It's kind of like using option sets for your drop downs. So you only have to change the values in one place.
Right.
So, and then here I would do the same. I would group it. I'd say group button 2. Type of content would be text. I'm going to change the text to say page content. And then I'll change this button to say parent groups text. And then when I do the workflow on this button, I'm going to go to navigate, go to page, admin, sim parameters. This will be tab, and this will be group button 2's text. And then here I need to remember this group. Instead of hard coding page content, I'm going to clear that out. Choose dynamic instead and say group button 2's text. So now when I preview, I load app users, but I can switch to page. Oh, so one of the things I didn't change was on that button. I should have said capitalized words. So I'm on app users, I can switch to page content and back to users. Not sure what this drop is for, but maybe it's the, yeah, I can figure that out because I have a space at the top.
Oh, never mind, right. Oh,
So if I go here, and then, oh, and I need to take that group out. So let's find that group. No, it's still there, but the name is there. And then I can say, nope, I'm going to call this page 1 instead. And page 2 instead. And then I can add a new one and call it page 3. So there you go. So this is like a very like rudimentary version of an admin portal, but it kind of shows you the power of being able to hide and show things on the page. And it's much easier to make a new thing or edit a new thing from this interface than to go in here in the back end of Bubble and say new entry, right? And so forth.
That's
What
cool.
do you think, Thomas? Are you going to build an an admin portal now?
So what I've learned from this whole conversation is that URL parameters are probably your best bet when building single page applications.
Yes.
Nice. It's good to know.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's true.
I love that Bubble has so many different, I think as you start to mess around with the new tool or, the new functions, you start to realize how powerful it is.
Mhm.
Very exciting.
Is there a way to search the site for different hexadecimals?
Yeah, so I mean to find where you're using certain things.
Well, more like to find, so my purpose is that I've got all these different pages, they all have a different palette.
Mhm.
I would like an inventory of each page's palette,
Mhm.
and I don't want to do it manually. So I want to search the site and find this page, whatever, page A, and then get the background color and all the different colors that are on it and display those on an admin page or a backend page.
Yeah, so you could, I mean, you could just come here and make that interface for yourself. So you'd make this group and you'd call this group page palette. So I always forget how to spell palette.
L-E-T-T-E.
L-E-T-T-E. Okay, there we go. So page palette. And then like you could save that as a thing in the database, or you could have like, yeah, I'd probably save that as a thing in the database, right? So I'd probably have in my database, I would have page information. Page info. And one of the things I would put in there would be like primary color, right? Or color 1 or however many colors
Yeah.
you have in your palettes,
Yep.
right? And then text like that. And then I would have, of course, a name. So then in my design here, I would make this would be page info and then search for page info. Right, and then this would be, this would also be page info. And then
This
this
is
would
only going to
become,
work if you have the colors already in the database.
right, exactly. So like this is where you could make these things editable, right? Like I might even change this and say, okay, I want to put a hexadecimal code here, but actually I want to put a group here. And I want to make this group have a background color. And it would be set dynamically. I'd want it to be parent groups page info primary color. Right, so I can see the color here. And then this, instead of having a text, what I would do is I would make it an input. Let's see here. And then this would be info primary color. And then I'd probably even go as far as to enable auto binding on it. User. This is a terrible privacy rule. Do not do what I'm doing right now. It is horrible. Don't do it. If I found one of my devs did this, I'd be up in arms, as that's just not good. Okay, so I can change this, this parent groups. Where's that group? Here's this group here. So here, and then probably what I would want to do here is just have in this thing, the group type of content, background style is here. Okay, so then move these things over. And then take this, copy, paste. Make this actually the page's name. Let's input here. Name. So here's the page name. This is going to show me its primary color, and then I can change that dynamically, right? So, and then I have in here. Here, this would be page name. And then color, like so. And then I'm going to leave the new out of this for now. So we'll just these can be edited dynamically on the page. And we're going to put this one. So let's make another button. First parent. Copy. Workflows. Paste with workflows. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, and I want this. This is going to be button 3. This is going to be page info. And then if I go to this button's workflow, group button 3's text, that's what I wanted. And so then back here, I'm gonna have this one, group button 3. 3's text. So if I go to data, app data, page info, new entry, this is pretty page, and then primary color. I don't know if I have to put the hashtag in front of it or not. Let's just find a color. Find a color to use. I'm on the wrong one, that's why. Black color. All right, so we preview. Oh, I didn't change this. Hang on. So it changed page info, but something is wrong here. Search for page infos. That's right. So I button 3's text. I never changed button 3's text. Select here is page info. So that's showing page info. That's changing here tab. And then this group should be showing. Oh, I switched them. I didn't mean to do that. Two's text. And then this one should be group button 3's text. All right, page info. So primary color. So this didn't work. So I needed to maybe put a hashtag in front of it. Yep. So I need to save them with hashtags. And now I can change this dynamically, right? So if I wanted to make my page here, like reference this here, if I change this number now, it will change it automatically, just like in the Canvas version that I was showing you. Does that make sense, Jay?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Yep, sure thing. Let's see. Awesome. Do we have any other admin portal questions or challenges?
Nope. We can build on this over time.
For sure. Louis, did you have any questions? No. Awesome. Well, I think that was a productive use of our hour. I think we've got
A lot of cool stuff.
yeah, I mean, it's not pretty. It's never pretty without Callum. That's why I'm not a designer. But all right, well, we will be back tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time for Tuesday's office hours. If you would like to join us for a complimentary session, all members of Co-Creative No Code's Facebook group are offered a free session on our Zoom office hours. Just go ahead and comment on the live. You can tag Kim and she'd be happy to send you a link to join us. I want to thank you, Thomas and Jay, as always, for being here. Also Kim, and thank you for joining us today, Louis. And hopefully, I don't know if you'll be available to join us for tomorrow's office hours, but we'll also be back on Wednesday at the same time if that would be more convenient for you. But looking forward to having you back, and we'll go ahead and get some questions discussed and hopefully answered for you. And yeah, everyone, I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.